Hi everyone. Hopefully the lighting isn't too bad. It's nighttime, so things are getting kind of dark. But anyway, this is going to be my October slash Victober TBR. I think what I might do actually is I might split it. I think here I'll talk about Victober stuff, and then part two I will talk about October reads that don't have anything to do with Victober. Um, so let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what Victober is, it is a wonderful readathon that was created by my friend Katie from Books and Things. She created it a few years ago now, at least. Like, I want to say it's been going for 3 or 4 years at least, maybe longer, but at least 3 years, probably longer. Um, yeah, definitely. Anyway, it's been on a while. It's been going on a while. And the point is every October you read Victorian literature, which is so cool to me. And the best part is uh, that there are prompts involved, but if you don't really want to participate in the prompts, you can just read one Victorian anything. Like, it can be a play, it can be a short story, it can be a novel. Um, Anything, and you have participated in Victober, which I really, really like. But anyway, the first year she was doing this, I can't remember if she did it by herself or if she had hosts then as well. But in most of the years, it's been Katie plus some other hosts. Um, so this year, and I think for the past couple of years, the hosts have been Katie, of course, and then Kate Howe, Ange from Beyond the Pages, and Lucy from Lucy the Reader. Um, and yeah, so I think they've all been hosting together for a couple of years now, and they are all wonderful. So I very highly recommend the channels and their channels and this readathon. It's just so much fun. And they each have individual prompts, and then there's group prompts. So I think there's five, no, six altogether. Um, so let's get started. So for Katie's challenge slash challenges prompts, I don't know what you say. Anyway, um, the first is read a book under 250 pages. And for that, I have picked Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. It is in this bind up of the Cranford Chronicles, which includes Cranford, My Lady Ludlow, and Mr. Harrison's Confessions. But actually, Cranford itself is only 188 pages, so definitely counts for under 250 pages. And it's either 250 or 200, but I think it's 250 pages, the challenge. And anyway, so I will be buddy reading this with Rainey from Rainy Day Reads, and we're both very excited because neither of us have read Cranford before. And I don't know why, because I love the TV show so much. I rewatch it all the time, and yet I have never read read it. And I've actually owned this book for several years now, so no excuse. But anyway, so I am going to read that with Rainey. It's going to be awesome. And then I'm going to rewatch the show, of course, because I love it. And then her other challenge is read a book over 500 pages. And the thing is, she's very specific about saying you can do both, but you can also do one or the other. I am aiming for both, um, just for fun and just because books that I already had on my TBR fit in these categories. So for over 500 pages, I have picked Bleak House by Charles Dickens, and I cannot explain to you guys how excited I am for this because I have never read this book. I've been meaning to for years. I've literally owned a copy of it for 7 years now, 7.5 years. And the reason I'm so excited is because I love the TV miniseries so much. It is definitely in my top five favorite TV miniseries of all time. And it's beautiful. So I'm really excited to read the book because I think I'm gonna love the book and the story just as much. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it and I'm going to listen to the Audible audiobook. Audible recently in the past couple of years has come out with this series of Dickens, I think it's called the Dickens exclusive series, and they get awesome celebrity narrators to narrate each of his books. And the Bleak House narrator is Miriam Margolyes. I never know how you say her last name, and I really, really apologize. If you know how to say it correctly, please tell me in the comments so I can stop saying it wrong. But anyway, I really, really like her. She plays Professor Sprout in the Harry Potter movies. Um, One of her other roles that I really love more recently is she played Aunt Prudence in the Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries TV show. But also, I've seen her in a bunch of other stuff, and she's fantastic. Um, and also, I like her voice, so I think I'm really gonna like her narrating. Um, and then after that, of course, I'm going to rewatch the miniseries. But also, while I'm reading, Katie from Books and Things has actually just finished, like, literally just posted the last video, I think, last night. Um, a serialized uh, Dickens read along of Bleak House, where she started this 18 months ago, and anyone who was reading along would just read a certain number of chapters every month to read it the same way the Victorians would have, which I think is really, really amazing. The only reason I did not participate is because I knew that when I did read Bleak House, I wanted to read it faster than that. Like, I knew that my patience and my willpower would not be able to handle reading Bleak House over 18 months. So I did not participate. But what I'm going to do is I'm obviously going to read this faster than this read along went. But since she's now posted all the videos, I'm going to pause each time I get to one of the chapter breaks that she had, and I'm going to watch her whole discussion video on those chapters, and then I'm going to read more chapters. So I'm basically going to be a participant, but it's going to be belated and it's going to be on fast forward. So that's a lot of fun, and I'm very excited. So yes, that's both of Katie's challenges. And then for Kate's challenge, Kate Howe's challenge, hers is to reread a um, Victorian book. And I don't know if it has to be a novel, but reread a Victorian something. And she may have specifically said novel. I'm not sure. But anyway, mine is a novel, so it doesn't matter. And that is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I read this for the first time in 2015 and I completely loved it. I'd known of the story before then, so I knew that I was going to love it. But reading the book made me see all the characters very differently than any of the adaptations that I'd ever seen. And the story was quite different, and I really, really love it. And it's actually one that I've been meaning to reread for a couple of years now. So I will be reading that. I will be listening to the Tandy Newton audiobook for the first time. I will be listening to the BBC radio adaptation, which has Tom Burke as Mr. Rochester and Amanda Hale as Jane Eyre. And I am so excited to listen to this because I've seen Tom Burke as, I've seen him in a couple of things, but specifically I saw him portray Athos in the BBC Musketeers show. And when I saw him in that, and then found out he was playing Mr. Rochester, I was like, this is perfect. Because seeing him as Athos made me think you would be the perfect Mr. Rochester. So, very excited to listen to that. And then I'm going to do something that's probably dumb, and I'm going to try to watch every Jane Eyre adaptation that I can get my hands on, including rewatching some of my favorites that I own. The three that I really like that I own are the 40s one with Orson Welles and Joan Fontaine. And granted, I have to admit that I like it as a film, and I like it because it was one of my first introductions to the story of Jane Eyre. But as an adaptation of the book, it is pretty bad. It messes up a lot of things from the book, but I still really like it as a film. And then also the 2006 adaptation with Ruth Wilson and Toby Stephens. And this is hands down, of the ones I've seen, this is the one that sticks closest to the book, I think. But I've only seen the Timothy Dalton 80s version once, so I need to rewatch that and see which one. But I feel like a lot of people say that the 2006 is the most, is the closest, excuse me, adaptation to the book. Um, so that one, and then I also own the 2011 one with Michael Fassbender and Mia Wasikowska, and I hope I said her last name correctly. Correct me if I am wrong, but anyway, what was I gonna say? This one is actually my favorite of the versions that I've seen, even though they had to cut out so much, and it is quite different from the 2006 one that was much closer to the book. So anyway, I'm gonna watch those, and then I'm gonna try to watch the ones that I don't own, or I do sort of via Prime. But then also I'm gonna rent some of them from the library, etc., etc. So we'll see how many of those I can get through. And then another one that I really want to reread is Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. But if I don't get to this one, that's okay. But I'm really hoping to, especially because um, currently, right now, I would say, just based on one read of each book, that Tenant of Wildfell Hall beats Jane Eyre for me as far as my favorite Bronte book. But I'm interested if I reread both again side by side, or at least in the same month, whether Jane Eyre will then overtake Tenant of Wildfell Hall. I'm very interested to see which one would kind of win out. But yes, so I will reread slash listen to Tenant if I can. Um, and then for the next challenge was Ange's challenge from Beyond the Pages. And hers was to read a female Victorian author, and you get bonus points if it was an author you hadn't read before. I was too eager to read other things by people who I had read before, so I will not be doing the bonus thing, but what I will be reading is Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. Um, this is her only other book, and I have yet to read it, so I'm very excited for that. And I will be buddy reading this with the wonderful Kate from the Novel Nomad, because I saw her Victober video and saw that she was reading it, and I knew that I wanted to read it, so I said, hey, let's read it together. And she said that sounded great. So that's going to be so much fun. And I'm going to be listening to the Amelia Fox audiobook. And I really, really love Amelia Fox. I love her as an actress, and I love her narrations. The only things that I've heard her narrate before really are some of the Miss Marple books, but I really, really love them. And I think she has a fantastic voice and does fantastic voices for different characters. So, yes, super excited for that. Um, and then Lucy's challenge was a bit of a challenge, haha, for me. Sorry, I'm moving position because I'm on the floor. Uh, but anyway, Lucy's challenge was a bit of a challenge for me because it was read an underrated book that was published the year that your favorite Victorian book came out. And my favorite, absolutely hands down, is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. And that was published, I believe, in 1854 to 1855. And I hunted and hunted and couldn't find much. But then, after some digging, I found out that Elizabeth Gaskell also published a short story slash novella. I think it's more, page count wise, I think it's more towards the short story side. Um, but anyway, she published a short work called Half a Lifetime Ago, I believe in 1855. So I'll have to double check those years, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. And so if as long as Lucy doesn't mind that it's a short story slash novella instead of a novel, that is what I will be reading for that. I hope she doesn't mind. I asked in her Victober video, I commented asking, but I haven't gotten a response, so I'm just gonna hope that it's cool, and do that, and I will hopefully get that on my Kindle. I haven't looked quite yet. Oh, yes, I did. I found it in a collection called um, Round the Sofa, which is Gaskell and then a couple other people's works. So that will be fun. Uh, so those are all of the individual challenges, and then the two group challenges. The group read um, is reading two Oscar Wilde plays. One is Importance of Being Earnest, and one is Woman of No Importance. I have read both of these recently enough. I would actually really love to reread Importance of Being Earnest because I haven't read it in several years. But I think with everything new that I want to read and rereads that are higher priorities, instead, I'm going to cheat a little and I'm just going to rewatch the film, which I really love, the 90s film. And for those of you who've read the play but you haven't seen the film, I do recommend it. It has Colin Firth and Reese Witherspoon and Frances O'Connor and Rupert Everett, and it is fantastic. And also Judi Dench. So, very highly recommend that one. But yeah, I'm just going to rewatch that. And then for Woman of No Importance, I don't think I've actually been able to find a stage recording or a film version, so I'm probably just going to skip that one, and I feel bad about it, but I'm still going to have fun seeing what everybody thinks of these. Um, but anyway, so that's the group read, and then the group challenge is to read by candlelight. This is going to be the most difficult thing for me because I just don't know if that's plausible, feasible right now. But I might try um, maybe on like the first or the second. I might try and just get a bunch of candles going and see how that goes. We will see. But I'm very worried about getting enough candles going to have enough light to read by. But we'll see. So that is everything for the challenges. I have a couple other Victorian things that I will be reading. First is The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. I have only read Woman in White by him before, but I completely love it, and I'm fully expecting to love this. My first introduction to this story was actually a Wishbone episode, but it really made me love the story. So, it just took me another at least 10 years probably to actually buy a copy of the book. Um, but I would have been too little to understand it when I saw the Wishbone episode anyway. But anyway, so yes, I'm very excited about this because of how much I completely adore Woman in White. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this and then I'm going to watch the 90s film, and then um, I want to watch the more recent TV adaptation. And then I think I'm also going to rewatch the recent TV adaptation of Woman in White because when I was first trying to watch it, it was when it was airing on television, and I got about halfway through, and then life stuff happened where I just kept falling behind on the episodes, and then we eventually just had to delete them from our DVR. So I think I'm gonna try to get that out of the library as well. So there's that one. And then another one that I really want to read is I want to listen to Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is narrated by the wonderful Richard Armitage, and I have not listened to it yet. I've never read it before, but I also haven't listened to this version, so I'm very, very excited for that. And I don't know if that's one where I'll try to hunt down um, a movie or TV adaptation, or if I'll just be happy just listening to the story. We'll see, but yeah, so that's my plan for that one. And then Another one that I'm so excited about is War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I bought the Penguin English Library edition about a year ago now, because I really wanted to read it because there is a new mini series coming out. However, the mini series has taken so long to even have a release date that I've just been really slow in reading it. So anyway, and I think I explained when I hauled it in that video that the reason I'm so excited for the miniseries is because the cast is completely amazing. It has Eleanor Tomlinson in it, and she's one of my current favorites. It has Rafe Spall in it, who I also really like. And then also, Robert Carlyle is playing Dr. Ogilvy, and he is my favorite actor ever. So I'm very, very excited to see him in that role. Um, but it's been taking a really long time for them to come out with a date because I think it's just been a whole bunch of post production stuff because I think they quit. I think they actually stopped filming. Uh, like a year and a half ago, maybe. So it's just been a ton of post production stuff. But right now, the tentative date for UK is January 2020. So that means for us, it will be at least June 2020, which, eh. But still, in the meantime, I will read it for Victober and it will be great. And did I say War of the Worlds is by H.G. Wells? It is. And also recently, I stumbled across an amazing Audible collection called the H.G. Wells Collection, and it's just a bundle of H.G. Wells stories narrated by some amazing celebrity narrators. So, War of the Worlds is actually narrated by David Tennant, so that made me even more excited to listen to it. Um, so, that's that one. And then I think those are all of my um, Victorian things. Um, if I have any more, I shouldn't because that would be too many. So, okay, that's it for the Victober Victorian part of the October TBR. And then the next video, I will talk about non Victorian October reads. So, anyway, please let me know if you are participating in Victober. I would love to know. If you have a TBR video, please tell me down in the comments because I would love to see them. And I'm just really excited about this. So, thank you so much for watching. And I will also post all of the channels and stuff down in the description. So, yep, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.